Programs of youth service and code interact. Rotary Youth Leadership Awards, Rotary Youth Exchange. The Rotary Club of Lincoln exemplifies Rotary's values as we want to implement the activities for youth that result in a positive life change. The club's book buddy venture has helped third graders improve their reading skills and bond with adults. Experience all appreciated. And every year, 3 students are chosen to attend Rotary Youth Leadership Awards, Camp, at which attendees learn more about themselves and how to interact with others so congeniality becomes great. The clubs present Student of the Month Awards to high school students who are selected by teachers for their outstanding school accomplishments to those that aspire. To assist Lincoln High School seniors in their efforts to continue their education, the club has created vocational, academic, and community service scholarships for them to acquire. In an uncertain world, it is essential that we do everything we can to create a new generation of confident and compassionate leaders who understand what people need. The Rotary Club of Lincoln has accepted the challenge and through its accomplishments in youth service is training future leaders free from called upon will succeed. Thank you, Alan. Very nice.
Our video froze for a second. I'm not sure why, but.
Okay. All right. You know, one of the things we've all learned in this day and age, you have to be nimble and quick and
it's a difficult decision if I try to leave, but this seems like a good club and it's sure a lot closer. I'll enjoy that. But I'm totally committed to Rotary. I love it. It's a great organization. I'm a Paul Harris Fellow, actually a 12-time Paul Harris Fellow. So really, Rotary Foundation is near and dear to my heart as well as Rotary. John, I think, you know, I think all of us would benefit from John if he decided to move over. So I look forward to that. And John's got a lot of knowledge not only about Rotary, but also girls softball, if anyone's into girls softball. All right. No other visiting Rotarians, correct? No. Okay. Guests. Tammi will. Okay. Birthdays. Any birthdays out here? Okay. Tammi.
Next Saturday.
Next Saturday. How old are you, Pete?
I don't want to admit it, but I'll be 90.
So I know that's a taboo question. However, you look fantastic, and I know how old you are, so that's why I thought you should share. Happy birthday.
Good morning.
All right. How about anniversaries? Anyone anniversaries? Anyone named Clark have an anniversary recently? No. Okay. All right.
Oh, heck, I did.
Yes, you did.
You caught me. Yeah, I did. Jeez. I'm sorry. I'm a little focused right now. Yes, I did have an anniversary on Monday. I knew I shouldn't have showed you that report. So,
I think it's safe to assume Janet doesn't know that you remember.
yeah. So, yeah, 47 years last Monday with Janet.
Nice. Yeah.
So that's going to cost me money to the Rotary Foundation. So.
Well, I think you owe Janet.
Oh, I've already, believe me, she just got her whole kitchen redone. She's been well compensated.
Sounds good. Any other anniversaries? Nope. All right. Why don't we go on to Happy Bucks? Since we haven't done this for a while, David, you've got 3 minutes to get through the whole room.
Just rock and roll then, let's go. All right, let's go now, let's see here. Do I need a mic?
Because the Zoom people can't hear you.
Zoom, can you hear me? You
No.
got Zoom here. All right, let's get some money here. Who's first? Hey, go.
Simply happy to be here.
Good, yeah, happy to see you.
And put the mic up to them too when they talk, so we can get
Okay.
everybody included.
Hey, we had a great social the other day at Cooney Loft. It was great. We had cornhole and so forth. We had a couple of winners there in cornhole. Karen, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, the thing that got me though, I had to look up in the rule book for Rotary, in the manual there, it said about cornhole, it was page 16, section 4, A, B, and D, about the height of those things. There was 4 of them there, four sets of cornhole. 3 were regulation, and 1 was non-regulation.
Oh.
12 inches. Does that look like 12 inches? I just read, I read the regulations.
Well, I have to talk to our son, who's the one who built it, and he'll have to redo it. And I'll add $10, but Jerry and I, and the second runner-ups, which was all the money that was in the pot,
Yep.
donated it back to the club. So we were pleased to be able to do it. All people doing it, and believe me when I tell you, I was not the half that got the win.
Yeah, I was watching. Anyway, and also that social, we ought to give her a great big hand. That was Claire. Claire did the whole thing. Thank you, Claire. Yes. Thank you.
I'm just thankful that we're back live again.
You got that right. You too. Same thing. She's happy we're back live. Yeah. Yes, sir. Okay, we're all happy that we're back live here, but hey, we gotta get some money in the pocket. Here we go. Oh, Daryl, big fan. Oh, come on. Good. All right, John.
Yes, I am probably the only person in the room that forgot his cane.
That's true.
That's pretty close. Yes.
I know I was late, but I would miss this
Good. All right, Lauren.
Well, I want to thank our winners, Truman and Gail and Jerry and Karen, for donating all of their proceeds to, we split that with foundation and our club. So it was a nice little monthly box, and we appreciate that. And it was a good time.
It was an excellent time. Yes, sir, Dan.
I love the festival of learning. And postmasters and projects and all, but my favorite was the one that Joanne presented, which were which you and Myla and all, which asked us to know this point. So that's enough from me.
Good, thank you. Okay, Ken, I know you were late, but no.
I have to respectfully correct our guest, John here. He said, we heard that we had a good club. We do have a good club. We have a great club.
That's it. Yep. Okay.
Here, and I was a little mad at Jerry and Karen when we lost the corn toss. Now that I find out that they don't do it every time, I'm happy.
We're not too happy. Oh, you put 3 in? Oh, okay. Okay, don't get upset, man. It's not. Oh, sorry. Okay.
I've had so many things to be grateful for. Not getting COVID, getting shot, all those things.
What?
But what makes me the happiest?
No, I haven't gotten it out of the bag yet.
Now, this is fun. This
Oh,
is-
yeah, we
this is
did.
the Rotary that
Opened
I
it.
joined. So in keeping with
Uh-huh.
us talking about the contest recently, I'm going to add my share again, because I was very happy to go to something like that again, a group function, and I am so looking forward to it.
Thank you. Okay, John, I misspoke. Oh.
And Dave, I'm glad to be here. I'm glad that you were here, because if we didn't have you, we had to invent you.
You got that right.
Are you thankful for your sandwich?
Yeah, Jordan gave me a sandwich. That was nice. Oh, what a sweetheart. Great sandwich. Yes.
First time you ever said something nice.
Oh. Wow. Years. Go ahead. I'm up right now. I'm gonna get her in a minute.
Well, I'm very happy for two things. One is for enthusiasm. It's something that I think we projected on the screen, but it doesn't happen.
That's okay.
You know,
I haven't missed anything.
The second thing is, I've been retired for almost 13 years, and something has changed. I have a new job now. I work as a chauffeur. I have a 15-and-a-half-year-old shooter that wanted to continue walking. Could only walk maybe down the bottom of the driveway. She now has a Cadillac stroller. Which I put in our neighborhood. And right alongside is my 1.5 children. So I'm happy for that.
Karen, do you? Okay. Yeah.
You want a microphone? I got some money, honey. Oh, thank you. You see how that? Yeah. Put a little, okay, I'll give you 2 seconds. That's all.
I just wanted to say that Jerry's not here because he had to finish tutoring our 2 grandchildren. That's where our jobs are till we have 2 weeks and 1 day left.
Jerry's here. He's right there.
I'm happy to be here. This is my first in-person meeting
What's wrong?
We're both members, but we're different people.
Oh,
All right, glad you're here. Glad you're here. Anybody else? Any other guys? All right, it's been a long time since I told the story.
Yeah,
Oh, go ahead.
obviously, I'm excited to be here. I'm really excited because it's my first time as president to have a meeting in person. I got up this morning and I was excited, and I realized I'm nervous. Then I realized, no, these are a group of friends, nothing to be nervous about. So thank you all.
Well, all right, perfect, David. You 5 seconds left. 5 seconds. Okay, this is gonna be quick. Okay? I got a friend of mine who works down there at Nugget. I'm not Nugget. Walmart. He's a manager down there. And he was telling me that I don't know this. And he was telling me that about this kid that was he was in the produce department. This young man in the produce department that worked for him. And he says the kids go to work, and then this guy comes up, the elderly gentleman comes up, and he says, "Hey," he says, "I want to buy half a head of lettuce." And the kid's easy with it. And the young man says, "I can't sell you. We don't sell half a head of lettuce. We only sell a whole head of lettuce." And the guy says, "No, I'm going to buy half a head." And he said, "No, we can't do that." He said, "Go talk to your manager." So he gets the lettuce, and he's going to talk to the manager. Manager's in the back, and he tells the manager, says, "Hey, there's some guy out there who wants to buy this, wants to buy a half a head of lettuce." And I told him that we don't do it. You know, he's an old cranky guy, you know. And the manager's kind of looking at him like. So pretty soon he says, the kid turns around, and here's the guy. The guy followed him in to where the manager was in the back. And the kid says, "Oh, and this nice gentleman wants to buy you a half." And the manager says, "Oh, well, that's great. Just go ahead and sell it to him. That's what it is. That's good. Go ahead and do that." So pretty soon, a little bit later in the day, the manager sees the young man in the store, and he goes, "Hey," he said, "I want to congratulate you." He said, "Man, that was fast thinking on your part." He said, "I can't believe that. You handled that really well." He says, "Where are you from?" He said, "I'm from Canada." He says, "Canada? What made you move down here?"
Use the mic, please.
Huh?
Use the mic so they can hear you.
Use the mic. You guys should be here. Start over. Whoa. So anyway, so real quick here, the kid says, "Yeah, I'm from Canada." And the manager says, "Well, why'd you move here?" And he says, he says, only hockey players and prostitutes in Canada." And the manager says, "Oh, my wife's from Canada." And he says, "What hockey team she play for?" "I got better ones. I Thank you very much. Hey, we're back. All right. So, welcome, Chris.
So, Brema pointed out something that I completely missed, noting that we have 2 new members since the last time we were in person. Yes, we've met them, but can you both stand up, Bill and Brema? Just want to sort of
Bill?
welcome you again.
Bill, stand up, Bill.
Bill, hold on. At your first in-person meeting. So,
That's yellow.
Well, sorry, Graziella. So I feel like Graziella's been here as long as I have. She's been such a big help. So thank you all for being part of this, and thanks for every. I can't say thanks enough to enough people over this past year, and I still have 2 months left. But thank you all for bearing with everything we've had to go through from a Rotary perspective. And thank you for joining in on the Zoom meetings when you could. And I'm just grateful. And I asked for a redo on my presidency.
You can have it.
I should have been faster with you somewhere down the road part. All right.
Okay, why don't we go into some committee reports? So Chris, can you start off? No, okay. Here, we'll start with fundraising.
That's what everybody wanted to hear about. Well, we had a very successful auction. Unfortunately, it wasn't in person, but it still was fun. And we ultimately this year so far we've earned about $20,000 in fundraising. It's about $30,000 less than what we earned last year. And so we also are in my term as chair, so we're looking for a new chair in the year. We're happy to pick up that now. The last thing is two-part. One, we're having a meeting next Monday afternoon at our house at 5:30 to discuss where we go from here on fundraising. What will be the things that we do. The other thing we have planned is the tour to Lincoln in the fall, October 30th, so put on your calendar, October 30th. And we have to figure out what will be the next thing that we do to raise some money. And we also have the second little part is, do we want to do anything between now and the end of June to up that amount of $28,000? So those two things are on the agenda Monday night. So come to our house 5:30. That's it.
All right, thank you, Karen.
So just real quickly, for those of you that volunteered to get speakers for us for my term as president, Barbara, I don't think we can hear her, but she's sort of shepherding that team. And so we're going to meet next Thursday immediately after our regular meeting. So any of you that have already volunteered to get speakers or are just interested in participating on that team will be meeting next Thursday immediately following. Yes.
My husband will be July to have speakers, and I've got 4 lined up. But would you save this main issue of your Rotary magazine? Because there is an article in there. Okay. There is an article in this magazine that you need to read in July, because the speaker is going to come and talk about the projects that worldwide is a problem, and that worldwide Rotary Plus are trying to help support. So you don't want May, save your May, don't lose this. I'll tell you more later.
Great, thank you, Christine. Thank you.
Yeah. All right, so why don't we?
There are 2 things on that article in that magazine you ought to read. One about the global grant, and the other one's about the free libraries that started with Rotarian. Very fascinating article.
Great.
Okay, Richard? Next.
At the last World Community Service meeting, we divvied up the last of the money that we were holding in reserve. And we spent a little bit more money on a Chippewa community center. We worked with these people for years. Many of us have been down there, so it's great work that Rudy and her team are doing. They sent us some nice pictures of the increased sanitation that they're working on right now. So it's always nice to get actual feedback of where our monies are and how they're being used.
All right, thank you. Chris?
Let's see. As far as youth go, everyone is excited about getting school over with, especially the teachers. We will be going to graduation, or there will be a graduation, and I've already had people ask me, can you just get me in? And so what's happening is there's 2 parents, however they work that out, some divorced families, that's going to be a little tricky. But there will be a graduation. There is a scavenger hunt for the kids next week that a lot of parents are working very hard at doing that. Last night I got pulled into a group to try and get their t-shirts. So a lot of traditional things that we've been doing for the high school kids as far as graduation goes, they haven't had anything. So if any of you are inclined to help out with senior shirts, because we know there's a number of families that cannot afford this senior shirt, and we're hoping to keep that price down, and we'll probably still run about $15. There's 505 seniors graduating this year. So it's kind of scary, because I remember when they were like 150. And then our Cornerstone project, or Project Cornerstone, Cornerstone is going to be taking off. We are going to be meeting with the central person that's in charge of it so that we can get ready to go, and we're hoping to do something during the summer. Now, the Cornerstone project, we do need volunteers that would either volunteer in a classroom, and it won't be on a daily basis. I'm not sure how much time is. I have to find all that out. But it's to go and read to the kids. And it's not just reading their books that they have, but it's reading about bullying, about being respectful, about being kind. So we're trying to really work on not only their reading skills, but also how to be a better person, how to cope with things that come up in their life. And this has been an extremely successful project down in San Jose by the YMCA. And I did watch their awards night the other night, and these kids, what they've learned and the impact that adults have had in their life, we're on the right track doing this program. And I kind of think that's it. And I apologize for being late, but I'm taking care of 2 kids and I'm not used to that.
Great, thank you, Chris. And I know, I think most of us are really excited about that Cornerstone project, and anything we can do to help support Chris and that project. We've spent so far $4,500, and then we're expecting to spend that same amount next year, and I think a couple of years from now as well. So it's a big deal, if I can say it that way. All right, community services, Paul.
Yeah, so can everybody hear me?
Yes.
Is this on?
Why don't you go to the podium? If you don't. There, that's fine, right there. That's good.
Yeah, so there it is. The Cornerstone project is one of the projects that we actually have a grant into the district to support for next year. And it's a $9,000 grant, so it's matched by the district. We'll put $4,500 into it again and get this grant going. On top of that, we do have the RIDL kids going, and camp is still on for this summer, I believe.
Yes.
So we have a grant in for that, and that's going to be matched by the district if they approve it. And then finally, we got another grant in the Salt Mine Food Bank again. We've already given, I think, $8,000 this year, and that was matched by the district. And we have another grant in for a total amount of $6,000 for next year to the Salt Mine. On top of that, so we're also, we're doing work at the senior center, and that's been going on for several years. It's been delayed. We got one extension from the district last year because of COVID. But unfortunately, that year is coming up, and the deadline is May 25th. So it's just been a week and a half or so. So we've got to get, and unfortunately, Kimberly has been super busy. There's been a lot going on there. But this morning, Joanne joined me, and we met at the senior center, and we did meet Christine. Thank you for sending Scott Boynton now. Scott Boynton. And the property lines are somewhat different from what is indicated by the physical lot there. One property line actually goes through the modular unit there where the redirect is being held. So we don't have as much space as we originally thought, and which was part of our grant application. So we're going to have to rethink what we're doing in there. And we may just be putting in some sort of lawn, possibly a bocce court. I still have my skepticism as to the value of a bocce court and with ADA compliance and all this stuff. I just don't think it'll work. But maybe some kind of a lawn on the side and just a couple of picnic tables with umbrellas in the back.
We get it done by May 25th, so there's no.
And we're not going to get all of that done this year. Joanne, hopefully will work with me, and we're going to spend as much money as we can to get some good, heavy-duty, commercial grade picnic tables that are expensive, similar to what we see in the parks here. The center has said they have to have umbrellas for these tables, so we'll try to get something like that. A storage shed, and that's about it. So we're going to try and spend as much as we can.
Can I just add that from Fowler's Nursery, we are getting
Yep.
trees? And Dick has already sent me a list of all the things that we need to get to make sure that trees grow and not die.
Excellent. We will,
We're ready.
all the amendments.
He can't hear you because you're not on the microphone.
So.
Can you hear us?
Maybe they can.
Well, yeah, they couldn't hear Chris.
Okay, all right. Well, thanks to Dick and his sister Nancy, who got some trees for us. Got 10 trees we're gonna plant there. So we may have a work day we'd like to schedule. I'm not sure when that will be, to do some tree plants.
Soon.
Yeah.
I think we gotta get the final report in by May 25th.
Today is the 6th. All right, thank you, Paul. One other project that Community Services is working on as well is the Horseshoe Pits here in Lincoln. Basically, the guy who's dealing with the Horseshoe Pits stopped the mayor and said, hey, who do I talk to with some help here? Because evidently in Lincoln, we have several world-class ranked horseshoe players. So we're involved with Friends of McBean in terms of doing that. So,
We're picking up the wood next Wednesday.
okay, thank you. And all right, so that's it for community services. Let's see. Oh, I'm supposed to ask Karen how many points you got in the cornhole game. I don't know who asked me to ask that. One. Okay, that was the one that won all the money, I believe. Yeah. All right. All right. Let's see. So Claire, anything on social?
No.
So I'd like everyone here, even if you weren't able to make it, to a round of applause for Claire. So nice to get together, and I really appreciate all the work that you do, and thanks to Vern too. He always tells me that he does nothing to drag me there, but I'm sure I know how that goes. So thank you both. Yes, it was a great time. And to the winners, I have to hand it to you for giving up your winnings. So thank you for that. And that is our first inaugural cornhole tournament. All right. Let's see, a couple of other things. John, we have to have a properties update because there's some very exciting news. And I'm happy that either one of you. Yes.
It's a very exciting day.
I think,
You have to get really close to that one. So closer.
Let me turn it up.
Like this. Closer like this. That's what yeah. Probably not COVID friendly.
I think they intentionally gave you the dead mic, so hey, after 20 or 21 months, it ought to give everybody a clue of what's happening. Is that for some people that may not know, a former member of this club made a very, very, very substantial donation in real estate to this club. And it started September 11th, 2019, was his date of death. Robert S. Stark was his name. A longtime postmaster, grew up in Lincoln, longtime postmaster, the whole works. And had no family and made contributions to almost every social outfit in Lincoln, but a huge one. Now we're talking 7 figures. And yesterday we got title to that. We have the deeds. Recorder's office. Again, they're not a 30-minute process, and they are all recorded. And all they were doing here without preparing, because you got 4 documents besides your grant deed.
make sure they don't tax you and certain other things. So anyway, we had that. John and I left that meeting, went to the Starbucks and worked on the Uber. I told the Uber managers, the property manager, Uber. Hey, 8 p.m. Those people up the hill, and they have a office here in Lincoln, but that's closed because of COVID right now. So then we went over the contract. I'd like to have Jerry Johnson, you can stand up, please. We're just checking, see what properties committee. It's LRC property. Floors. That's our board. So all of us have a very substantial contribution to make this thing come together. There's still some work to be done. But thank you. I think the club owes in the whole gratitude.
Incredibly, I mean, I just want to say that every single property, he went and fixed fences, he talked to whatever he needed to. I mean, a big thank you. If it wasn't for you, we would not be here today.
No, thank you guys. Behind a lot of mistakes, some things that are still being worked out. Anyway, we'll pass that along. It's a great news, and we'll be in contract with the property management firm today. We do not have the rents yet, still working on the life estate. 12 properties, we have 11 of them recorded, and one we got to get up to Yuba County, to Yellow County to record. Okay, thank you. Up that way.
Thank you very much, Darrell. Great update, and it's a great day for us to, there's been a lot of work, as Darrell mentioned, that's gone into this. Definitely, Darrell deserves a lot of credit. He did a lot of work. And I think, I want to say, I think Linda was glad because sometimes he was out of the house. But I'll let her speak.
I didn't get out of the house very much, and not lately. Yes, I did lock him in the office quite a bit, so I just found out I got him out again.
All right, thank you very much. And then one thing from Clark on membership is we're missing the club's PC. Does anyone know who has the club PC? No questions asked. Yes, that's a different one than the one that we had here. So, yes.
When we opened
Sorry,
up the closet today, we didn't find the PC. I checked with Larry, he said to check with Frank, because he didn't have it, although he's in Indiana, so maybe it could be at his house and he forgot. But I won't know till he comes back. But he said he didn't have it.
Okay, so if for some reason you find a laptop laying around your house, you're not sure where it came from, let us know. We'll be glad to pick it up. Again, no questions asked. Okay. All right. One more thing I want to talk on the committees. Rotary is moving into a real focus on DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion. And as we move into the new year, we're going to have a new committee, DEI committee, and I think that's being led by Barbara, if I understand correctly.
Yeah, correct.
Yes. Can you hear me? Yes.
Technology, so I'm not sure if she's expecting, but anyway.
Yes.
But the board had agreed with Barbara, it's a thing for us to focus on, so starting in the new year, we'll have that new committee up and running and looking forward to that.
I don't know whether, can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Let you speak, but we can't hear you.
Can you hear me?
Don't take it personally.
Apparently not.
All right.
You can,
Uh,
okay.
I'd now like to turn this over for a moment to the District Rotarian of the Year. I know we congratulated her already, but I want to hear a little more from her and see if she can lift this trophy.
I wanted everybody to see the trophy. It's pretty impressive. It's nice to get a chance to show it to everybody. So I have to return it next week. So, yeah, it was a great honor and it's a great reflection on our club. And it's great. Yeah, so there's also a plaque that I do get to keep. So I just want everybody to have a chance to see it. And the names are on there, and that's why they need it back, so that they can get the names for the name for the new one. So thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Well, Brian, now you bring that up, she should have brought that up.
Yes.
How are you?
Hey, you gave him a sandwich, that's not nice. Perfect. So thank you for that, and congratulations again to Joanne.
Thank you. You gotta get the phone to bring it too.
Yes, I know we're all a little rusty in some of the rules, so we'll forego the fine this time, but phones should be turned off during the meeting. All right. So next, I'd like to move into the presentation for today. So Tami Riedl with the Farmers Marketplace. She's a lifelong entrepreneur in technology, finance, marketing, and an organic farmer. She's done Airbnb and land use consulting. Tami passionately devotes her time to the farmers marketplace. As an innovative leader in the regenerative agricultural community, she's dedicated to mentoring and nurturing relationships with local farmers and artisans. Tami has deep roots in our community, advocating for collaboration in the local food distribution channels while consulting with farm and property owners on ecological land management and design. Tami's bright, joyous spirit is felt in everything she does, with many people in all stages of farming and producing that she inspires and mentors. Happiness is doing what she loves, learning, sharing knowledge, and making connections to provide our community with access to the freshest, wholesome, locally sourced produce and products available. So, Tami, thank you.
Thank you. I don't know if any of you can relate to this, but it's really hard to write your own bio. So I actually asked a really, good friend of mine who's really good at marketing to write my bio. So it's hard to, say the stuff about yourself that you've done. So anyway, and I wanted to mention, I'm actually from Canada and I played with the Vancouver Canucks.
Just give me a clue.
Okay.
That's okay.
All right. So I am here to talk to you a little bit about farmers markets and the evolving local food system. And I'm sure a lot of you, are probably pretty aware of, how that became even more prominent as we, experienced COVID last year and how that changed everything. So couple things we're going to talk about: how I became a farmer at 50 years old. That I was really inspired by soil regeneration, the importance of networking in our ag community, and actually to just be aware of how strong our ag community network is. Farmers markets from the farmer's perspective, online farmers markets and the hub model, which is what I'm here to talk to you about today too. How to shop on the hub, adapting to change, and what's really in the heart of it all for me and the team and all the producers and everybody that's involved with our food hub. So I became a farmer at 50 years old. It all started, I was working in corporate finance, as a finance and operations manager at a manufacturing company out of Davis. I've been an entrepreneur my whole life. I have several degrees in different areas of business. I have technology, drafting, architectural, civil, structural drafting degree, technology degrees, and finance degrees. So I've been really in business for most of my life, working independently as an independent contractor. And I'm not used to holding the mic. This is really weird. Usually I like settle my hands by doing this or something.
Okay.
Anyway, so what inspired me was I was living in Fair Oaks in a townhome with a concrete backyard. I was a single mom. My son was 11 years old, starting to be able to kind of be a little bit more independent. So I decided, all I do is work and, look after the kid. I need to do something for me. So I checked out Rudolph Steiner College, which was just down the road, and discovered that they had a biodynamic farming and gardening program. And prior to living in the townhome with the concrete backyard, I'd always been really like an avid backyard gardener. So I was like, oh, this sounds really cool. I don't even know what it is, but I read the description of it and was like, okay, this sounds really neat. So I signed up, and the very first class that I went to at Rudolph Steiner College was, the cosmic rhythms of biodynamic farming and gardening. And Harl Hogan was the program leader at that point in time, and he started talking about the energy between not just the farmer and the plants and the animals and the soil and the water, but also the cosmos. And for me, that was really like, wow, there's really a spiritual connection to this, whatever that means to you. For me, it was like, wow, there's this energy. And that's what he talked about. He talked about the energy and the relationships of everything in a farm or a garden, and how when you really connect and bring all of that together, it's really a closed system. And it's like a natural, way of doing things with the rhythms of what's there and present, and how when you really start getting everything working, in symbiosis together, that it really, is the best way to do things. So I was super excited. I went home. I was like, oh my God, there's so much more to this than I thought. And I was in. I took every workshop that they had. I took a 6-week sabbatical from my job and did an intensive program there. And so at 50, all of a sudden I was living in the townhome and okay, I need land. I want to farm. I want to grow food, So I needed to get some property. So I reached out to a mortgage broker and was like, okay, how much am I going to have to save up to be able to buy land? And she was like, well, have you heard of the USDA program for ag property? And I'm like, no. And she goes, oh, they have this no money down program. And she goes, have you ever considered Lincoln? And I was like, oh my God, yes. I went to the, Feats of Clay, exhibit last year, and we drove around and we're looking at properties and everything. So I was like, well, how does this work? So basically, I was able to buy a 10-acre property up here off of Courtney and South Forbes Road in 2012, and able to basically stake my claim on some land and be ready to start farming. So we were established in 2012, and I named the farm Lincoln Hills Farm. So through my, after that, I, really started doing a lot more research. I was inspired by a thing called The Soil Story by Kiss the Ground. And it was a really short video clip that came through my newsfeed on Facebook. And it was this little educational clip about how, by planting in the soil and the whole carbon cycle, we could draw down carbon. And so I really started to dig into learning about the life in the soil. And how, when we have good life in the soil, that means that we're going to produce healthier food that has more nutrients in it. And that's become much bigger and more prominent now. But back then in 2012, it was really in the beginning stages of getting out to people, and people really starting to understand, that if you have healthy soil, you're going to have amazing food. So I actually got the opportunity to do some biochar trials. There's a mushroom farm up in Calusa, and they have a pyrolysis equipment there. And what they were doing is taking the biomass from walnuts, which is the walnut shells, and they put it in this pyrolysis machine that burns the, burns down the walnut hulls, and then, the energy produced from that process is what they use to fuel the farm. And then they have this byproduct, which is biochar, which is this highly dense carbon that you can use. It's got, all these little tiny holes in it, and it basically provides housing for the microbes in the soil. It holds water, it holds nutrients at the root zone. So they had asked me to do some trials in correlation with another company that was creating biochar using dry cedar. So I did these trials. We looked at like the cedar, the walnut shell, and then no biochar. And what I found was that it didn't really matter what type of biochar it was, that was the same, but compared to the no biochar, the plants were much smaller, shorter. So when I grew broccoli, you can see it over there, using the biochar, all of a sudden I had broccoli plants that were this big and heads that were this big. And it was just amazing. And I was like, oh my God, there's definitely something to this, and I have to share everything I know with everybody, So I really got into learning, sharing, mentoring other farmers, trying to, really get the word out about biochar, which at that point was very early on as well. So, I took a program with Ian Ingram, Life in the Soil, and became a certified soil advocate. The regenerative agriculture movement really started to become more prominent, and I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, have any of you heard of regenerative agriculture? No? Okay, well, you will. Like when you start looking it up and stuff, you're going to start seeing it everywhere. There's a movie on Netflix called The Kiss the Ground movie, and I highly recommend it. It's just a beautiful movie, just really about growing food and, how we can do it differently than conventional methods, and, really how there's this big movement now to use regenerative practices.
We move it? Okay, sorry.
So the networking in our community was really a huge part of my farming adventure. It has, farming is a continuous learning curve. I mean, I'm the kind of person I just kind of dove in, and then started learning, and it was like this, And one thing that I learned in doing farming was that it's different from any other career. I mean, when you're doing finance, you're on a monthly cycle and you just kind of do it over and over again, or, but with farming, what was really interesting was, when you've been farming for 10 years, you've only really done each thing 10 times. So it takes a long time, and like even after 10 years of farming, you're still learning, you're still trying new ways of doing it better. You have years that maybe it didn't work, your tomatoes were terrible, so you have to wait till the next year. So that was really an interesting thing for me. Always new challenges. And small scale farmers are really unique business people. They're not people that are in farming because they're really business savvy, usually, or that they're in it to make a ton of money and they're going to build their retirement and send their kids to college. And, farmers are doing it because it's what they love. I think really a lot of people don't understand that most farmers at my age don't have any money. They don't have a retirement plan. They don't, like if they're small scale farmers in our community, they're just winging it. They're trying to get money together for the next, seed potatoes that they need to purchase, or the garlic, or, there's very few when they start out that really are getting to that level where it's really a profitable business. And so that was something I learned really quickly when in 2015, I decided, you know what, I'm going to quit my corporate job and I'm going to do farming full time. And boy, was that an eye opener, because you have to grow a lot of food to pay the mortgage. So anyway, I had, I just really, this part for me is so important because in the farming community, like everybody works together. It's not a competitive business, you know, it's not like, oh, well, we don't want to tell them how we're doing stuff because then they'll get the sales. Everybody collaborates, everybody's willing to share, which is very rare in most business industries, you know, like, you know, if you've got a restaurant here and a restaurant there, they're not going, oh, well, you should go see how they do it at their restaurant, go have some of their food, you know, whereas that's what we do as farmers, like, we're like, oh, you know, yeah, come to my farm, see how I'm doing it, and like, I'll come to yours. So it's been really great having mentors and you know, all the educational resources, the conferences and everything that we have access to in our, you know, in this being such a, you know, big ag community here. Everybody here is just really passionate about growing food and building a sustainable local food system, which is what we're going to talk a little bit more about. So, as I said, you know, I went from corporate to a full-time farmer in 2015. I started off, this is when I first had my first farm stand here, the first year at the farm. And, you know, I learned things like you can't put tomatoes in plastic bags on a farm stand when it's 80 degrees outside because they get soggy. You know, you just kind of learn everything the hard way. I looked into doing local farmers markets. You know, you guys are familiar with probably the Sun City and a few other ones through Placer Grown. And for me, that wasn't going to work because I would have to go and, you know, be there for a whole day. And I wasn't producing enough yet. Like, I didn't know, like, am I going to have enough every week to fill a farm stand? And so, you know, another model, you know, a lot of farms will use is like a CSA or a farm club. So I actually did a farm club here in Lincoln, and I would set up outside every Thursday, or I forget what day of the week it was, maybe Wednesdays, outside of the Gypsy Chic Vintage Market. And I marketed it here in Lincoln, and I would go down there and I would set up,
Sorry, my buttons.
There we go.
There
I
we
would
go.
set up here, and basically the idea was that, you know, a customer could come and they could, you know, pay this much weekly, but it wasn't a subscription. You just had, you know, you'd come, you pay this much for a small box or this much for, you know, a medium box, and you would go along and it would say, okay, you get one cucumber, one of those, two of those, whatever. So I went down there 7 weeks in a row, marketed the heck out of it, and not one customer showed up. So I was like, okay, this is not where we're at. So then the next thing was the tailgate farm stand. So I started to align with some businesses and be like, you know, hey, can I come and do a pop-up tailgate off the back of my truck farm stand? So that worked, but there were times where, you know, I would load, I'd harvest, I'd do everything, and I'd go and I'd have $130 in sales. So that was not really viable either. So finally, I ended up hooking up with Lincoln resident business owner here, Nancy Tilford, with Gypsy Chic Vintage Market. And I was able to go and do an event out at her property, and that went really well. So then we started talking about me having my farm stand out on the patio at Gypsy Chic Vintage Market. And that was really great. So it expanded from just being a little bit of stuff to a lot of stuff. I ended up building this farm stand on both sides, and, you know, it was really great. It was very successful, and I did that for about 4 years. It was a great way. I loved it to meet customers, to socialize, and really engage with the community, talk about health and nutrition and everything. Really, so the one thing that I learned, you know, in that though, was that every time I did that, it was a 4-day market that went from Thursday through Sunday. And every time I did that, that was 4 days that I was off farm. And it made me become really aware. Yeah, that's why I can't do other farmers markets, because, you know, if I'm a week or a day or two every week off farm, that's a lot. And farmers markets are an 11-hour day for most farms. So, and then what happens to the unsold product? You know, like even for me, like I would harvest all this beautiful stuff and the fruit would sell, but maybe the kale was left at the end of the day. You know, so luckily I had 85 chickens, so they enjoyed all the leftover stuff, but still, that's lost revenue for a farmer. And then it really was time away from doing what I love. And that's what the farmers experience here when they go to farmers markets. Either they've got employees that are there doing the farm farmers market for them, or if they're sitting there, you know, they do love meeting all of you and the socialization, but it really is like they want to be on farm, like making food grow. So anyway, we really, you know, then I started looking at, you know, really what the difference was, and I came up with this idea. So I looked at, you know, like Farm Fresh to You, they really, you know, were the leader in, you know, bringing farm fresh drop boxes. You can subscribe and they just deliver it to your door. And I started thinking, you know, that's really the way to go. But obviously I'm not growing enough food as a single farmer to do that. But it was great, you know, they really, you know, got the lead in on that. I was also, though, had started selling through Tahoe Food Hub. And what they are is they basically buy from a lot of local farms and also regional farms. And they were, you know, buying, I would deliver to their cold storage in Penryn every week. And they would deliver, you know, the stuff that was ordered from me up to all the chefs in Tahoe. And that was a really great model. And you know, I could basically say, yeah, this week I've got 6 bunches of broccoli, 12 bunches of kale, you know, 30 pounds of tomatoes, and whatever I had, even if I only had 2 bunches of carrots, I could post it and it would get bought and it would go. And it was a great revenue stream for me, and it was really efficient because I got my order, I harvested to that order, I delivered it, and I'm done, and I know it's sold. Like, you know, it was really simple. So at that point I was going, okay, wow, why don't we have something like this in Placer County? So in July of 2019, finally I was like, okay, I'm gonna do it. I'm just gonna do it, and I'm gonna create a hub. So
yes,
I formed the farmers marketplace with 2 people that at that point in time were actually helping me co-farming at the farm because we had upped production and they wanted to learn. So they actually had a 10-month basic apprenticeship with me where they were learning everything from soil prep all the way to marketing and distribution. So they were able to really kind of run things on the farm while I was able to get this up and running. So the farmers marketplace really for me, like what really was important was that we focused on fresh, local, and seasonal. So we're not like going to be bringing in tomatoes from Mexico or, you know, Southern California or somewhere, you know, another state in December. So for me, that meant, okay, there's going to be a lot of education involved because I love tomatoes on my salad and everything else. And like I had to learn, you know, so what do you put on your salad in the winter? And our motto is really think local and act local, because, you know, for me, like I get so inspired about, you know, so many things that we can do. And like, I want to affect climate change and teach people about climate change resiliency and, you know, soil health and all of these things. But really, like, I can't do the big picture. Like, I just have to do what I can do here. And so that's really what I advocate. You're just having a good old time over there, aren't you? Like next we'll see Facebook up here. The problem is I won't remember what I'm talking about. So did you close me out?
No, it'll come back. Just give me a second.
Yeah. So I'll go into a little bit about how the hub works. So basically, you know, from our farmers and artisans perspective, I think when we started, we had about 12. And that were like, yeah, let's do this. That sounds really cool. And so the way it works for them is basically, you know, they can let me know, you know, like it's a weekly cycle. So there's a weekly time frame that this online store is open. And so before the store opens online every week, our farmers and artisan producers will, you know, let me know, you know, okay, yeah, this is what I've got. And for this week, that's what I'll be able to give for next week. And so we would go ahead and post what they have available in the online store. And then basically customers now can go online and shop. And the hub is open from 9 a.m. on Sunday until midnight on Tuesday. So you have 3 full days to shop. And you're shopping from 44 local producers in Placer County. And these are all like small scale farmers. They're people that mentored me, people that I've mentored. You know, they're not like growing and selling to, you know, Sprouts and Rayleigh's and all those stores. These are people that are just, you know, they're small scale. So for them, the hub is a really good option because they don't grow in mass quantities. These are like, they hand plant their transplants. They're out there hand weeding. They're no-till, you know, they're doing everything by hand and everything is grown with love. And they're doing it because it's what they love to do. They're really passionate about it. And there's a lot to be said about that when food is produced that way. You know, and it's all organically grown. There's no chemical inputs, chemical fertilizers or anything. So anyway, so you can shop online from Sunday 9 a.m. till Tuesday at midnight. And then what happens is then on Wednesday in the wee hours of the morning, all of our producers get their order. So when they wake up Wednesday morning, they're like, okay, here's what I'm bringing to the hub this week. And on Wednesday and Thursday morning, they're either harvesting to order or they're making the products. And, you know, we have everything from like farm fresh produce. We have sustainably raised meats. We have like a cattle grower here in Lincoln who's on 300 acres here in Lincoln, Whiskey Run Ranch. We've got a pasture poultry producer. It was Delta Farm out of Newcastle, but she's actually just aligned with a new poultry producer here in Lincoln called Sierra Nevada Poultry. And so that's all sustainably raised. The birds are raised on pasture. They're given a non-GMO, no corn, no soy feed. So everybody in our network of producers is all really, really conscious about the way that they're producing and you know, bringing food to the hub and to our community. And one of the things
Got it back.
is, yes, I can go back just a little bit.
Okay.
Yeah, here we are.
I'm
So-
about ready to run out of juice in my computer,
there
so
you
it's gonna go.
You're all good. I can talk forever, so that's why I have to like keep looking to see the time because I don't want to go over. Let's see. So I went into how it works. Oh, so the one thing I didn't talk about was our core values. So I'll go back to that. But so they get their order on Wednesday and Thursday, then they deliver. And we originally, when we started this, we were here in Lincoln and outside of the Citizen Vine Wine Bar at on 12 Bridges and Joyner Parkway. The chef there was really great. I had been selling produce to him, so he was very supportive of this business and was like, yeah, you guys can set up out here. So we started this on tables under canopies outside Citizen Vine Wine Bar. And every Thursday, our producers would all come down and deliver all their stuff there. And then we'd have it all set up. And as customers arrived, we could go and pull their order. And here we go. And they were able to bring their reusable grocery bags and everything. And that was all, you know, really great. So that's how, you know, basically you pick up your order on Thursdays. So last year when COVID hit, our business like quadrupled the first week. And all of a sudden everything changed and we needed to have, you know, a better way of handling things. So we had to move to pre-packing orders, couldn't use reusable grocery bags. We went out and purchased, you know, we did a fairly big investment, you know, in what we needed, in our equipment we needed. We bought cooler bags, you know, really good quality ice packs, so that when customers came and lined up around the corner, you know, we had their nice green grocery bags ready. And then, you know, we would just pull the paper bags out and hand them to them, but we were, you know, had it all pre-packed and ready to go. So since then, we, you know, I knew last year that like we need a building, you know, we can't be doing this outdoors. So last year I approached Gold Country Fairgrounds, Don Halis, the CEO there up in Auburn, and, you know, like, hey, you know, we really need a building. And they happened to have one there that would work perfect for us. We were able to get a building there at the Gold Country Fairgrounds that we rent. And that was, you know, what brought us in to be able to be indoors. We had to do, you know, pretty big renovation to bring it up to standards for health, you know, permitting and everything else. But we're there now. It's wonderful. We love it. So now we aggregate everything in Auburn. They're actually there today packing orders for all of our customers. And so we now have our hub pickup location still outside Citizen Vine Wine Bar. And we also have one at the Auburn Fairgrounds in our building there. And now we also offer hub-to-door delivery throughout Placer County. So we do deliver here in Lincoln. We go way the heck up by the lake, like basically, we are, really we do rural, whatever we have to do, because we're really just doing this to, get some amazing food out there. So, and then just, one of our core values that I wanted to talk about is just, we're really about, refuse, reduce, reuse, repurpose, and recycle. And, refusing is like, we just have the mindset of like, we refuse to use like plastic utensils and things that are a one-time use. We try to, minimize that as much as possible. So like I carry around bamboo knife, fork, and spoon in my purse that are just wrapped together with a rubber band. And when I go somewhere to eat, I pull those out, it's the little things that really make a difference. And reducing, just reducing the plastic, the things that are one-time use, reusing, so we try to reuse everything as much as we can. Repurposing, like if we have food that comes from producers that are in jars, we let our customers bring those back because we will, one of our producers will, wash those out and use it for their home canning or whatever they do. So we try to do that. And then lastly, if we kind of, have no other options, then we'll recycle. So, all of our producers' packaging, they try to be as sustainable as possible, as minimal plastic as possible, compostable tags on their products and twine for string to tie the bags and things like that. Some of our producers are using cornstarch containers instead of plastic. So you might get it and think, oh, this is plastic, but it's actually made from cornstarch and it's compostable. So basically, we're all working together to bring, to build a sustainable local food system, and we're all just really passionate about that. So adapting to change. So basically, we all know what happened when COVID came, and all of a sudden there was food scarcity fear. Like everybody went, oh my God, and like people went on the hub and they bought all the beef. So, and that was really hard because what happened after that was then our producers, our meat producers, couldn't get processing done because the processors, laid off, had only half the staff coming and you couldn't get processing dates. So, Whiskey Run Ranch had beef ready to be processed, but they couldn't get into a processor. So the reality of that and how quickly it happened really inspired me to really be thinking about how do we make this sustainable in a longer term setting as things are going to change. And so I mentioned our sales increased that week. Distribution channels for the farmers shifted. All of a sudden there were no restaurants buying food. So they didn't have any place to sell their product other than the hub. And we were growing, but we weren't able to buy everything that they had. So a lot of farms had to go to setting up their own online stores and things, which means now they have to have new skills. They have to do their own marketing. They have to set up websites and everything. And all of the increased labor to change to new distribution models basically meant for the farmers that they had less profit. So the benefits of the hub, really what we were looking at is, for the producers, just a few of the things, we handle all of the marketing and distribution for them. So that's really nice for the farms. Like, we do all of that and it's my job to make sure that customers know about us and the benefits and to educate about, fresh, local, seasonal food. And the nice thing is they can just offer what they have available. So they don't have to commit like they would to like another retail grocery store where they'd be like, yeah, we can bring 10, 30-pound boxes of carrots every week. If they have 8 bunches of carrots, they're hand pulling out of their garden, we'll sell them. So it's less time for them to basically harvest, pack, load, transport, and unload. That's it. They're not sitting at a farmer's market all day, and they're not bringing product back that they then have to deal with when they get back to the farms. So they have no unsold product. And they get paid every week, which for a lot of farmers, like working with restaurants, one of the biggest complaints is they can take a long time to get paid. So I'm really adamant, like, you sell it this week, you're paid next Wednesday. So for consumers, You get to know where your food comes from. We have bios on our website on all of our farmers. I know everybody. I know what practices they're using. You know, like I vet them. I make sure that everything isn't necessarily certified organic, but it is grown organically, and everybody's using regenerative practices, trying to leave things better than it was. It's convenient. You know, you can shop online Sunday to Tuesday anytime, and you know Thursday you're going to get your order, whether you have it, you know, when you pick up or whether you get it delivered. It's consistent. It's a nice routine. I think there's one more thing there, maybe. Yeah, and then the last thing was that you know what's available. You go on the hub, what's there is what's available. And I encourage you, if you decide to shop on the hub, get on there Sunday, because that's when you have the most selection. You know, when one of our producers only has, you know, 10 packages of, you know, white turnips, that's it. When those are gone, they're gone, you know, or if we only have, you know, 10 packages of chicken breasts, when they're gone until next week, and hopefully we have more. So that's basically the way that works. So in the heart of it all, this is my hub team up here. We have, they're up there packing orders today. And really, like, my motto in paying these guys is that, you know, I want them to have a living wage, not a minimum wage. And so I pay them very well. And for me, this is my community service. I don't get paid from the hub. The hub, the way it's running right now, just covers expenses. The only way that we're going to grow it is to get more business and to get the word out there that this is there. We have lots of producers that would like to come on board, but I have to, like, not get it spread too thin, like, so there's a volume of sales, and then, you know, we don't want these guys that have been in there for the last, you know, year and a half to have declined sales because now I bring in somebody new. So, you know, we're just, it's gradually growing, gradually getting the word out. And so I really appreciate you all having me here to share about this. And this is my passion. I do it because it's my passion. And, you know, sometimes I fund the company each month. You know, it's like I've invested my own money to do this. And, you know, it's just what I do. And I didn't mention that last year I did sell my farm in July of last year, which allowed me, it was my decision, because I was working harder than I ever worked in my life, and I couldn't run a farm and do this business. And I felt like, you know, now I'm 58, maybe this is a little better way to spend my time. So that's pretty much it.